My name is Packy Van Evans. I've been participating in JapanFest since 1997. I'm no longer wrestling, though, because I'm too old to take the abuse of this sport. But we do have other members here of the Georgia Sumo Club. Some of these guys are local to the Atlanta area, and some of them drove all the way up from Tifton today, okay? So there's some folks from far away. Now, if you look behind me, you'll notice this gentleman here having a belt tied on him. In sumo wrestling, there's only one piece of equipment. If you're a parent and you have kids who do sports, you know it's usually very expensive. You gotta buy shoes, you gotta buy a uniform. This is it, folks. There's nothing underneath it unless you're wearing pants, okay? You can see some of the guys, turn around, raw dogs. There's one, there's another one. That's the traditional way you do it in Japan. In amateur sumo, you are allowed to wear pants underneath it simply to accommodate different religious beliefs around the world, okay? So there are some religious beliefs that don't allow you to show certain parts of your body. And some guys here just don't like showing certain parts of their body, so they wear them, okay? Now what we're gonna do for you today is talk a little bit about sumo. I'm gonna take some questions from those of you here in the audience. And then you're going to see these guys start to warm up behind me. They're going to do some stretching exercises. They're going to get in the ring. I also passed around earlier a couple of pieces of mawashi. Did those make it around somewhere to people? Anywhere? You can return them when they reach the back. But here's a belt right here. You can see it extends to the other side of the stage. People ask, is it comfortable? No, but it's not terrible, okay? It's made of cotton, and it's basically one sheet that's folded in half and in half again. Now, when it's tied onto you, as you saw the gentleman a while ago having his belt tied on, if that comes off when you're fighting, guess what? You lose. You lose the match automatically. Why? Because you've left your opponent nothing to grab onto that you want them to grab onto, okay? So you lose automatically if your belt comes off during a match. It does not happen very often, but if you search on YouTube, you can find it. All right, why don't we do some shiko so they can see the traditional sumo exercise. Who's going to lead us? All right, the exercise you see the guys doing now, this is called shiko. This is the sumo exercise. They're called leg lifts. But what's very important about this, and you can try this at home later, those of you who look and go, that looks pretty easy. Before you start, when you start practice in Japan, if you're a professional, they do several hundred of these just to get warmed up. And I promise you, if you do several hundred of these, you'll be standing with your legs quivering. This helps train you for balance and strength and builds up your upper legs, which are really important in sumo wrestling. All right, who knows what sumo wrestlers eat? Chanko nabe is the most famous thing. But what is chanko nabe? It's just a stew made up of lots of protein, lots of carbohydrates, a few veggies thrown in for good measure, okay? Sumo wrestlers, do they eat breakfast? No, sumo wrestlers do not eat breakfast. If they ate breakfast and then went to train, they would puke their guts out, okay? So they don't eat breakfast. So after they go and train in the morning, you guys have done enough. Come on, you're going to wear yourselves out. Okay, why don't y'all do some suriyashi? Okay, so they'll go and train all morning, and then the lowest ranked guys cook the meal for the highest ranked guys. They go and have a big lunch, and then sumo wrestlers do what all of us wish we could do every day since we left kindergarten. Take a nap. okay? If you take a nap after eating a lot of food, what happens? You put on weight. And that's what sumo wrestlers want. It's important to be big in sumo because the object of sumo is to maintain yourself inside of this ring called the dohyo. As long as you are inside the ring and no part of your body other than the soles of your feet touches the ground, you're good. But if you get pushed out, or if even your hair, like my hair, if it touches the ground, I lose. I do have some here, okay? But seriously, if any part of your body other than the soles of your feet touch the ground, you lose. All right, couple of questions while they're still warming up. Who's got questions? Yes, sir. No drop kicks. You can kick in sumo. You can kick. Most of the kicks that you will see are from the knees down, and they're really more sweeps and things like that. You don't just, not like a karate kick, nothing like that. Yes, sir. How long do they live? How long is sumo's been around for 1,500 to 2,000 years, somewhere in that range. It's very old. Yes, yes, ma'am. You call Mawashi's big diapers. That's right. We hear that all the time. But you know what? It takes a real man to stand up here in a big diaper, doesn't it? Come on, let me hear you. Thank you. All right. By the way, women can also do sumo wrestling in the amateur level, but they're not allowed to be professionals. In fact, women are not allowed to go onto the ring in professional sumo. You may not agree with it, I'm just telling you, okay? Yes, ma'am. How much money do they make? Okay, first of all, you don't make any money until you're in the top 3 divisions. There are 6 divisions in Japan. You get room and board if you're at the other lower levels, okay? But once you get up in there, it's hard to say what an average wrestler is, but you don't really make money in Japan until you're in the top division, Makunouchi. Yes, sir. Okay, sumo is very interesting. Somebody asked me how do the divisions work? You only advance by winning. It doesn't matter how old you are, your size, how long you've been training. If you win, you advance. If you lose, you go down. Yes, sir. There are no weight classes in sumo. In amateur sumo, we have weight classes, but in professional sumo, there are no weight classes. You have to be a certain height and weight to enter sumo, but then after that, it's free for all. That's why sometimes the biggest discrepancy, I saw someone who weighed almost 700 pounds fight someone who weighed about 300 pounds. That's the biggest discrepancy I've seen. And the 300-pound guy won more than he lost against that guy. Because it's not all about weight. If it was all about weight, all the fat people would be in sumo, okay? But it actually does take skill, balance, strength, a lot of different things. All right, what you see the guys doing now, this is called Butsukari Keiko. Basically, one of you serves as a tackling block and pushes your opponent outside of the ring. If you were on dirt, you can just put your back leg back and you would slide. But we have a little bit different surface here that we have to use, so it's a little bit more difficult. Yes, sir. Oh, yes. Off to the side. Who's the most popular sumo wrestler? Man, that's a tough one. I can tell, somebody say Hakuho? Okay, they said Hakuho, but he's retired now. But Hakuho is probably the GOAT of sumo. You know what a GOAT is, right? He's bad. No, the greatest of all time. He won more tournaments than anyone else in sumo history. And I got the chance to go into his stable, and my son was on a team. I was the coach for a kids team, and he got to fight Hakuho, okay? So imagine Babe Ruth says, come and play pitch with me in Yankee Stadium. It's basically the same thing, okay? All right, are there any kids in the audience who are interested in coming up and doing this? Because we're about to start fighting. You're a little too old, maybe a week or two. We like middle, come on up if you're ready. Come on up the side stairs. Come on up. You have to take off your shoes when you get up here, okay? There's some kid belts over here if you want to tie them.
There you go.
All right, while they're getting these kids ready, a couple of you guys want to demonstrate some techniques. Tell me what you're going to do, and then I'll tell them. Oh, why don't we do the ring entrance ceremony real quick? I apologize. Let's do that first. You guys notice they do a ring entrance ceremony? We'll kind of explain what happens here. Obviously, you bow to your opponent as in any Japanese sport. You see the guys washing their hands. They clap them together to call the attention of the gods. They open a prayer book. They raise their hands and show that they don't have weapons, and they turn it over and show they don't have weapons there either. There's not really a lot of place to hide a sword in this outfit, okay? All right, now they're ready to wrestle. You guys wrestle, and I'll try and figure out what technique you're using. Hakyui! Okay, that's a kind of throw. That's called an uwatenage. The guy who's throwing, his arm is on the outside above the other guy's arm. The opposite of that would be shitatenage, where his hand is up underneath. How about some kind of pushing maneuvers here? Basically, in sumo, you have grapplers, guys who like to grab the belt, and you have pusher thrusters. That's the kind of two categories. Yes, ma'am? Why do they wear those belts? Because in Japan, do you know like old Japan when they had samurai and they had swords? If you practice with those and you make an accident and you cut your buddy's arm off, you know, it's too late. When you train like this, it's a form of non-lethal combat, and it's showing your fighting skills and allows you to train sometimes without hurting someone. Okay. Suridashi. Not suridashi. Suridashi. No, not if you pick him up and set him out. Yeah. Okay. So this is one exception in sumo where you can step out of the ring without losing. If you pick your opponent completely up in the air and you are the first one to step out, you still win. But you have to have control. If he's flailing all around, you still lose.
We got one kid fight lined up.
All right. Kid number one, what's your name? Kevin? Cameron. Sorry, I'm hard of hearing. Okay, Cameron. Who are you going to fight, Cameron? What's your name, sir? I got to come over here. Poithi. 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 Cameron and Poithi. You guys y'all watched, you know what you're doing? You know what you're doing? Okay, go for it. Break. They're doing an even more abbreviated form, just since it's tough for kids to learn right now. You ready, guys? When you hear me yell, you start, okay? Ready? Hakioi! Nokota na hota! Nokota na hota! Talakota na hota! Oh! Tough one. Bow. Nice job, guys. I think we got one more wrestler? All right. While somebody puts a mawashi on her, let's have a couple of y'all come out and do some fights, all right? I hope y'all got pictures if these were your kids. Oh, they want a rematch? Okay, one more fight because he had his socks on. All right. Hakioi! Nokota na gota na gota! Nokota na gota na gota! Nokota na gota na gota! Yeah. Still going, still going. Oh, no? He touched? Okay, he touched, he touched. Don't forget to bow to each other. Come back and bow real quick. This is very important in sumo, is the bowing part, so we try and make sure everyone does it properly. Nice job, guys. All right, so while they're putting a belt on the lady over here, we're going to have some of our guys wrestle for you. They're just going to go at it whatever they do, okay? You can pick a wrestler to cheer for, or if you're on that side and you want to cheer for that guy, this side cheer for that guy. It doesn't matter. But make some noise. Make them feel good. Come on. Out. So did that one turn out like you thought it was going to? The little guy gave a fight, didn't he? Okay. Who's next? Do we have one more little girl who would like to come up and wrestle against her? Otherwise, she's got to fight one of these big guys. You do? Come on up. Just head down to that end of the stage, okay? You'll see them trying to do some leg trips and leg grabs. Judo is probably the sport that's most closely related to sumo of the martial arts that you know. A lot of the techniques are the same. Cheer them on, folks, come on. All right, any more questions while the fights are going on? Anyone? What you've always wanted to know? The fight, there's no time limit. It lasts until one guy's out of the ring or some part of his body touches the ground. One time. That's it. Most sumo matches only last a few seconds. Yes, sir. If the belt falls off at the same... Man, I'm watching you and they almost got me. Yeah. Good question. What if they both fall out at the same time? That's what the referee who's back there, who's in the ring with them, and you would have side judges at a competition. The referee will make a call of the winner, and if the judges disagree, they'll raise their hands, and then they come into the ring and have a conference and determine what to do. They can keep the decision, reverse the decision, or they can have a rematch. Yes, sir. I think you're too old, guys. We usually only take kids like through middle school, and the only reason is because we don't want anyone to get hurt, us or you. Yeah. I know. I had a wrestler come up on stage many years ago, and he put me in a headlock, and I thought he was just somebody who watched WWF, and then he threw me head first into the stage, into a wooden stage. So we try and eliminate that if we can. Oh, you want to wrestle each other? Just a minute. If you're brothers and you hurt each other, I guess it's okay. Yeah. We got our ladies ready to go. What was your name, sweetie? Salma. And what's your name? Perrin. Salma and Perrin are going to fight for you. Salma, come over this way. This way. Come right around here.
Yeah, come over here.
Walk right over to him. But stay outside the ring until you get there.
Walk on the outside. You walk on the outside.
How many of you came to JapanFest because one of the reasons is because you wanted to see sumo wrestling? All right, thank you. In the past, we've done tournaments as well during JapanFest, but it takes a really long time to do them. Remember, there's no hair pulling. Yes, and no crying. Go! Go! What do you say? Wait, one more time? All right, come back and bow to each other. Oh, she's coming back. Okay. Woo! Hey, ladies, come back and bow. Come back and bow to your opponent. Now, stand up. Just bow your head. Nice job. All right, a couple of our wrestlers are going to show you a really nice tachi-ai. A tachi-ai is the initial charge when the two wrestlers come together. Most fights in sumo are determined at this point. You can usually watch a sumo match, and when you see them initially come together, you can judge who's going to win, if you know the wrestlers. Because some guys like to have a right hand inside on the belt, some like to have a left hand outside, so it's this initial point when that grasp is taken. Hakyui! And And then sometimes you'll see things like heads banging together. If you watch on TV, when you see there's a tournament going on right now in Tokyo, if you watch online, you can see it. The guys will hit in the head, and you'll see afterwards blood running down. You know, they do hit head on occasionally. I don't recommend it, but it happens. Any more questions while they're fighting? Yes, sir. In amateur sumo, you are not allowed to hit to the face. Okay? If you watch, well, they're going at it pretty hard. I didn't want to interrupt them. This is where you cheer, remember? All right, so the question about the hitting to the face, there was a fight the other day, and one of the Japanese wrestlers hit his opponent 5 times in the face, and I'm talking like, bam, 5 times during the match, and I thought the poor guy was going to just fall. The closest thing we can do in amateur sumo is called a nodowa. That means you can put your hand up under their chin and push back. Yeah.
Do it to me.
Like this. However, you cannot grab. You can't choke, you just push. And it's not, you can't thrust into the neck, it's just push, like this, okay? Can you tell these guys might be related? Okay. These two guys do all kinds of martial arts, not just sumo, so there's no telling what you'll see when they're fighting. All right, guys, come on up. All right, this will be our last match of the day. These two guys, take off your shoes and any jewelry that you may have. There's a donation jar right over there. That's up to you. I would recommend taking them off. Does anybody smell that? Just suddenly there's this odor. I don't know what it was. Yeah. All right, one of you on each side, but don't go in the ring until after you. I don't think we have time to tie a belt on them, unfortunately, guys. It's already 6 o'clock, so yeah, come on around. You guys will have to go beltless. You can grab each other's belt loops on your jeans. Nate. Down, down, it's over, 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 over. Why was it over? Hand touched the ground, okay. This, one more time, come on, one more time. This is why wrestlers have a hard time in sumo sometimes, because a lot of wrestling techniques, you put your knee down and throw, something like that, but not in sumo. Oh, down, down, down. Nate.